Hello there, my name is Jonathan and this is Jonathan's Days. This is my little knitting podcast where I share all about what's going on in my fibre knitting world. I hope you are doing well. You are welcome very much here. If you're returning, welcome back. If you've just joined because you've watched a great wrap up of 2022 and want to see what I'm getting up for 2023, welcome aboard. Let's go. I am going to jump right into finished objects. The first I'm wearing here, I'm not going to talk about it too much because I spoke about it in the wrap up as well and in the previous episode. So this is the Oshima Classic by Brooklyn Tweed, Jarred Flood for Brooklyn Tweed. And the yarn itself is Brooklyn Tweed Imbue in the color Carbon. It is a bottom up sweater with a brioche yoke, and you knit bottom up, knit front and back. You knit the sleeves with a little sleeve cap, you seam it all together, and then you pick up and knit the neckband. It is a pretty challenging knit, I'm not gonna lie, but I really enjoyed it. It's kind of a higher gauge, like 5mm, 6mm needles, so even though it was a lot of new techniques for me, I wasn't too intimidated by it. And I knit this before the clocks changed last year, or when I started doing it before the clocks changed, and that way it was easier to see it in the daylight. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I've been wearing it a lot. It's super comfortable. The yarn is holding up really nice. I really love it. I can't recommend it. And well, I recommend it, but be prepared, be ready. I would knit it for yourself. This isn't the one that you make for your partner unless you're a very confident knitter in the techniques that are in it, because it's a little bit tougher. But yeah, you've heard about this a lot. I've spoken about it a lot. I would say I do like how the brioche looks and how the increases and decreases look, because it feels like it fits very well. It feels very sturdy, and I'm just super happy with it. I'm happy now that I have a staple black sweater in my wardrobe, so super happy with that. And yeah, and then the other finished object you would have seen in the wrap up video too. This is the Bearpaw socks by Andrea Mowry. This is knit in Rosa, Pomar, Mondim. I think yeah, because the previous episode you saw was from November, so basically all of December you didn't hear from me at all. So I did my gift knitting without telling you about it. I'm so sorry, guys. But yeah, so this is knit up at Mondim. I love these. I'm gonna make myself a pair, I think. They're basically the DRK Everyday Socks, but in DK weight yarn. And I bought this yarn from Wild and Woolly here in London. Well, I'm from their online store, the Mondim. And yeah, my boyfriend's been wearing them a bit. He is currently out cycling. He will be back in less than about an hour. And when he comes back from his very wet, cold ride and has his shower, he's gonna put on these toasty socks, and I'm sure he'll be very grateful once that happens. So that's why I made them. So the perfect storm is happening right now where he gets to actually wear these. So yeah, I'm really happy with them. Really recommend them. Knit up super fast, super enjoyable. I liked the marling. You can just make it with DK, but this is 2 fingering weights marled, and I really enjoy that. So there will be more in my future. I just need a little bit of a break from ribbing. I feel like I've been doing a ton of ribbing recently, but yeah. So that is my second finished object from recent times, and yeah, I love it. Really enjoy it. Can't recommend it enough. Now, moving on to whips. There's one whip I haven't really put much work into, so I'm not going to share it, and it's not that interesting. But the first one is, so when I was getting that Mondim for the Bearpaw socks, I also was looking at other yarns because I was just kind of, I don't know, this was quite complicated. I just felt a bit, I don't know, bogged down by my own knitting and bogged down by the kind of potential of projects that I had coming up. So I did want something relaxing, and I felt like the entire community was like that, which is why everyone started knitting Sophie shawls and Sophie scarves, that we're like, oh my god, we're so stressed with gift knitting and thinking about all these other things that we needed something that was just plain and simple and garter stitch. And so while everyone was making Sophie shawls and Sophie scarves, and I did think about making that, but I was like, well, I have something similar already kind of in my well, it wasn't in my physical queue on Ravelry, but like my mental queue to make, and that was the Field Shawl by Max the Knitter. And so I got myself some yarn for that. And so the two yarns I got was more by Rosa Pomar. This is Brusca, and they come in 50-gram balls, so I got 4 of each, and they are in the colors C, which is the brown, and 10C, which is the green. And I wanted just like I just wanted a super wearable, easy garment with like kind of almost neutral colors. And so we're just over halfway. So it's like basically you're just increasing on one side, garter stitch with a stripe every sew round, and then you just do the whole same thing again and decrease. So you can see there, that's the kind of point where where we've changed and we started decreasing. It's been really, really nice. It's just been one of those ones that I have at home and I just want to watch TV and just pick it up and just go, which is the same sentiment that everyone else has been having with the Sophie scarves. And the other inspiration was Caleb from Drowning in Yarn, so because he made a really, really nice one, which kind of pinged my interest on it again. And then he's currently making another one with one of the I think it might be the Hedgehog Fibres Tweedy. Is either the Tweedy, the Hedgehog Fibres, or the Confetti by Labiname. I can't remember which one is which. Maybe it is the Labiname. Anyway, regardless, he's making a second one. So yeah, I love it. It's super big. So like if this is like the halfway point, you can see how it's going to like really like wrap around tons. And I just think it's really nice. It's going to be like really simple, clean design. Yeah, and then the Brusca yarn itself is woolen spun, I believe. So it's like really light and airy. It's 2-ply. And it's like Portuguese yarn, made from fine wools of Saloia and Portuguese Merino, 2 native sheep breeds from Portugal. Knit better, wear longer, waste less. So yeah, it's really, really nice. Like the Rosa Pomar yarns are just really, really, they're so intentional with everything they do, and so I really, really like enjoy that, and like makes me feel nice about supporting them. And so it's like squishy and light, and I know it's going to be super warm, and it's quite it is capital or rustic. Like the amount of vegetation, I could, make a salad out of the amount of vegetation that I pull out of this one, especially this brown. I don't know why there's like a lot of it in there, and most of it's fine, but it's, I don't know, you do have to pull out a lot and you have to be okay with that. And so I've kind of been making peace with it. Some of them are like really like sharp and Barbie, so that I do pull those out, but then some of them are just like, well, hopefully you'll block out, and hopefully if you don't get out when you're blocked, then I'll have to pluck you out later. But regardless, it's been moving on. But yes, so that's been my field shawl, and it's beautiful, and it's such a nice knit. So give yourself permission to cast on a field shawl or cast on a Sophie shawl. Like, do it. If it makes you feel good, do it. Why deny yourself? You don't have to make the most complicated color work or anything like that. Just do what feels good, find what feels good, and yeah, go from there for sure. But really, really been enjoying that, plugging away at it, not putting too much pressure on myself about it, but looking forward to wearing it. So now I'm on the kind of like downward trajectory. It's nice because I'll just have to and now I'm decreasing, so it's just going to feel like it's going much faster as I go. So yeah, loving it. Then moving on to the next, which was my Christmas Eve cast on, and I can't remember, I don't think I shared what it was, but I'm quite a bit into it, because obviously I started it like during the holidays and I had time off, and it was my birthday, so I had a lot. And you know, what does a knitter want for their birthday? They want to go buy some yarn, which we'll talk about, and they want to chill out and knit, and so that's what I did. So as of this morning, I have the yoke and 2 sleeves and a bit of the body done on my Alpenglow. So this is my Alpenglow sweater. This is by Andrea Mowry. This was her Rhinebeck sweater of 2021, and this is with she always does it like a collaboration with Magpie, Fibres and Spincycle, if I'm correct. And so that's what this is made out of. This was my treat to myself. I was like, I want to spend the money on the yarn. It's my Christmas Eve crafts on. It's my Christmas gift to myself and / early birthday. And yeah, I've been loving it. So I just finished the sleeve. So to run through the yarns, I'll pop it on the screen, but it is a lot of information. The collar and the cuffs are, it's the Spincycle Magpie Fibres dyed in the Skein is what they call it, dyed in the Skein yarn, and this is the color Follow You Into the Dark. The orange is the Magpie Fibres Feather in the color Spicy Beaver. The main color is Magpie Fibres Nest Sport, and then the Spincycle color changing that you can see all along is Spincycle dyed in the wool Robin's Egg. Whew. So those are the colors. So the Follow You Into the Dark color, they described it on the website as being a deep teal, and I kind of interpreted that as being more closer to the blue side of things, but when I've found it in person, it has skewed a lot more green. I would call it like a forest green. So I did kind of want it to be more in the blue family, but I'm just rolling with it and hoping it turns out. Spicy Beaver, I love. This is so soft. Like, this mohair is super soft. And the Nest Sport and the Spincycle I've used before, but the Nest Sport is wonderful. This is the first time I've been using Magpie Fibres yarn at all, and I've been super enjoying it. It is stupid expensive. This is going to be a very expensive garment, like, once it's done. My one flag to you is, if you're thinking about it and feeling pressure to get the very expensive yarns, it's nice, and if you can afford to do it, and if you want to do it, but you use so little. Like, you feels like the mohair is held double, and I feel like I'm done using this mohair. I don't have it to hand, but it's almost like the full skein worth just for these contrasting pops. And they look great, but it's a lot of money to spend on something that you're just going to have a little pop of color. So if you do have some mohair in your stash, I would definitely, go with that, or just use another sport weight for the pop. And the same with the cuffs. Like, if it's this would function pretty well with the main color as the cuffs and with a different pop of mohair, and then you probably end up saving money on it. So I would, don't feel the need to, sorry, I'm just kind of giving you a view. I wouldn't feel the need to get exactly what's in the pattern unless you can afford to, or if you can't afford to, don't feel pressure to, because I think you can make something completely beautiful with what I feel is a beautiful design, with different yarns. But for this one, I wanted to treat myself, and it was my treat to myself. But now that I finished using the mohair, because the ribbing on the bottom is just like corrugated ribbing using the Spincycle, I'm a bit kind of like, I have a lot left over now. What am I going to do with all this yarn? So it is something I'm thinking about. Like, I'm going to have all this yarn left over. I've been thinking a lot about my stash and what stays in my stash, and reducing that down. And because of this being such a small pop of both, and now I have these full skeins, so almost full skein. So what am I going to do with an almost full skein? So, we're thinking about it. It was quite nice actually, because it makes me think of the worsted book. It's Sylvia Watts Cherry's design, and she made a sweater, and then she also made a cowl, where she was like, okay, if you make the sweater, you're going to have leftovers, and so here's how you put the design from the sweater into a cowl. And I thought that was really clever and nice and a way to use up what's left over. So I'm interested to see, okay, could I use like this pattern here plus maybe some of the colorwork motifs and make a cowl afterwards, like an infinity cowl, and you know, I don't know. And I've just been thinking about how like you can use up the kind of what's left over in patterns such as this where you only need a small amount. And what I want to do moving forward is kind of when these kind of patterns come up and I really want to make them, what can I pull from my stash? Like I don't always have to get what's required of in the pattern. And you're all going to laugh when I talk about what my plans are next. But anyway, so yeah. And also, yes, there's a mistake. I made a mistake in like the third row of color work and I don't care. I just kept going. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with it. I made size 2 and I was gonna, oh, by the way, this is the Alpenglow 2 because it is graded for a more masculine fit. And so I would have been a size 3, but then in the actual pattern photos, her husband, Andrea, Mowry's husband, is wearing the size 3 as well, and I didn't really like the level of ease that was on his, and I think he was of similar height to me, if not taller, so I was like, well, if he's a little bit taller than me and I don't like how it looks on him, let's go down a size. So it is a very negative ease fit on me, or well, just like probably bang on my size. As I'm trying it on now, I'm sure it'll kind of relax a bit once I've blocked it, but yeah, so I've done a size 2 on this, and we'll see. I'm pretty happy with the size so far. I've tried it on like this. It's actually still on the cables for trying on, and yeah, I'm really, really happy with it. The one thing that I was kind of worried with, which actually is showing up really nicely on camera, is this color work here. It's kind of like the main piece of color work here, and unfortunately, my Spincycle, where it was in the color change, matched almost perfectly to the main color, the Nesport. So in person, you kind of can't see it as well. On the video, it looks fantastic. You can see it really, really well. But yeah, so that was something that was worrying me, but I've just kind of went with it. And I think now that the actual body, the body has more of the turquoise of the Spincycle color, and that will continue down into the corrugated ribbing. I think it will all tie together nicely. So I'm really excited about it. I'm really, really happy about it, and I'm enjoying it. Anything else? Yeah, top down. It's the kind of main pattern is just slip stitch, mosaic knitting, and then so yeah, it's a bit of color work at the start and then just mosaic for everything else. It's knitting up pretty quickly for something that's on 3, I want to say 3.5 millimeter. Yeah, 3.5 millimeter needles. Yeah, so it's knitting up pretty quickly for something on that level of needles, but it's probably because I had so much time off to work on it. And so it's a friend's birthday at the end of the month, so I'm hoping to have it finished well in time for then. And yeah, probably will be, because I'm literally about to get back on the body now this afternoon once I'm finished editing and sorting a bunch of podcasts for you. But yes, that's my Alpenglow 2. That's my Andrea Mowry. So we've got 2 Andrea Mowry patterns and 1 Max the Knitter pattern. So, you know, we're going into 2023 as we finish 2022 by the looks of things. But yeah, so that's all my whips. The next thing I want to touch on super briefly is kind of like plans. And so part of the plans is what I was talking about earlier about my stash and using up stuff that's in my stash. So, and it also ties into my birthday. So my birthday is right after Christmas. So I treated myself and I went to Loop here in London, and I got some companion yarn for some yarn that was in my stash. So I've already caked it up because I'm so excited to cast on. And I think you would have seen the yarn before, but you wouldn't have seen the plan. So this is the yarn that was in my stash. This is Metamorphic by Spincycle, and this is their like recycled yarn. So it's created using the leftovers from their mill, and it's kind of I've spoken about this before, but I love these kinds of yarns. I get if any dyer or mill comes out with one of these that I like, I will support and I will get it because I think they're just wonderful. So this is the one I got. It is lavender gray, I think it was called. They're kind of like one and done. Like once they release them, you gotta get them and you gotta get enough for your project, otherwise you're not gonna have it. But yeah, so I got 3 skeins of this, and when they released that yarn, Andrea Mowry released the metamorphic sweater pattern. And so didn't really intend on making that sweater pattern, but then recently I did kind of like fall in love with it again and was like, okay, actually I do want to make it. So I had enough of the metamorphic for that sweater. And then I went and I picked up some skeins. I'll try and show all 3. Can he do it? Yes, I can. Okay, squeezing it. I got 3 skeins of what is probably the most neutral colored Spincycle colorway out there, which is called Stay Ready, and this is dyed in the wool. And yeah, I really, really love it. So it's going to be like this purple with the stripes that they're like grays and beiges and creams. And yeah, I'm extremely excited about casting this on, like so much so that I am blazing through finishing the Alpenglow. And as much as I'm loving the Alpenglow, I can't wait to wear it. I'm like, oh my god, get me on this metamorphic. I've done my swatch is literally drying, and I'm going to do, speaking of doing a smaller size, I'm going to do a size 4, which for the like chest measurement is a decent amount of ease from my bust chest measurement. And it is cropped, I believe, so I will be like lengthening the body a fair bit, but that's fine. I've kind of done based on the amount of yarn I have, it should be fine. I should have enough, famous last words, I should have enough to lengthen the body out a fair bit. So I'm pretty confident that that's going to be good. So that is my next cast on, which hopefully I'll get the body done on the Alpenglow the next week so I can cast that on. I do have a event, a friend's birthday weekend in a couple of weeks, and it's in a beautiful location, so I would love to like take photos and have like nice new sweaters to wear at that event. So it's kind of motivating me to like, oh, I want some like nice new things for this fun event. So we'll see. I'm not gonna kill myself over it, but I will try my best to get it done. And because the metamorphic is similar to my wrong side sweater actually, which was knit inside out, it's just like stripes, so it's more or less stockinette and stripes, so I feel like it will knit up quite quickly. It's on 4mm needles, so I think I'm up for the challenge is what I think. So yeah, so that's what I did on my birthday. I went to Loop and I got those skeins of Spincycle, and then I also got, look how cute, try to be as quiet as possible, I also got some of this. So this is darning thread essentially. It's by Lens and Pierre, and this is, yeah, it's basically thread. It's wool, and I do believe it's got like polyamide or nylon or some kind of man-made fiber that adds strength. And mainly because, well, for my socks that I have one sock that I need to repair, and that's fine. I'll use leftover yarn. Like I'm not going to use this for that, but my boyfriend has a pair of gloves and the thumb burst through, so he asked me if I could repair it. I've never repaired anything yarn wise in my life, so it's a new experience for me, but I have gotten that thread for that. And then a couple of weeks previous I went to Beautiful Knitters, probably my favorite yarn shop in London, and I picked up over here, I picked up a darning egg. I don't know why, it looks like an egg. And then this is another darning tool. So this one's going to be perfect for his glove, and then this one I got as a more of a general one to have. This is beautiful. It's like hand turned in the UK, and so you put like an elastic around here to like stretch your piece of knitting, and then you can weave it, weave the damage away, weave a patch in whatever is damaged. So I don't have any like sweaters or anything that are damaged, but I think this will be okay for my sock as well. But I wanted to have like options to see how it would work, and so I picked up those. And yeah, I'm excited to try them, and I'm excited to fix my boyfriend's sock. And then of course I couldn't like not pick up other things. So the first thing I picked up was the latest issue of Lina magazine, and I feel like I say this almost every episode or every time the issue comes out. I'm like, I'm not gonna get it. I don't like all of those patterns, blah 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 blah. But I want to support such a kind of like integral part of the industry. Like I love print media, and I love the books that they produce. So I want to support that, and then B, I love the articles. It's nice to have like people actually writing about the industry and writing about this world that I love so much. And then I was like not loving all of the patterns, and then one pattern caught me, and it didn't. So this is the pattern that caught me. This is by Rosa Pomar. So you can tell, you've been listening so far, thank you. You can tell I like Rosa Pomar's yarn. And so this is the pattern bandana, and this is a cardigan. So it is made with, hold on, I believe it's 2 yarns. So one is the bandana yarn for sure, and then the other, I think it's held with something else. Oh, here we go, great content. Jonathan flicking through a magazine. Okay, here we go. Materials yarn. Yes, so you make it with the bandana yarn and then the silk mohair held together, and it's pretty chunky. So I've never made a cardigan, and I do want to make a cardigan, and I liked this one a lot, but not the one in the magazine. It's actually the one that Rosa Pomar posted on their socials, on their Instagram, and it was knit using a different yarn by them. I will pop a picture up. I'm looking it up on my phone, like I'm going to hold it up to the camera, but I hate when people do that. I don't think it looks well. Anyway, so the yarn that they used, the second sample was made in Zegal, which is the chunky Portuguese merino yarn. So my intention with this was to get this magazine and then to make the cardigan out of the Zegal yarn instead of the bandana yarn and the soft silk mohair. And the picture they have, hopefully I've already put it up, has more, well, first of all, it's a man modeling it, and it's one of those things where like, oh, when I see a man in a pattern, it does help me visualize it on me. And then the other thing is that I've never tried that yarn, and one of our travel goals for this year is to go to Lisbon. So my plan is when I go to Lisbon to get that yarn and to knit this sweater. And yeah, it's gonna be, I want to make it like oversized. It's going to be like almost chunky, and then be something that I wear all year, because I feel like, it's something you can almost wear as a jacket in the summer, in the evenings when it's cold, and then you can wear it in the winter and be all toasty. So I'm very excited about that. Excited about making a cardigan. It's about time. It's about time I made a cardigan. So that's why I picked up the latest issue of Lina magazine, which is 16. And then the last thing I got has, well, a bit of a story. So if you follow Rebecca Creabea, you probably know about this yarn. So this yarn is Kinross 4-ply. It is by We County Yarns, and this is the shade Pewter. I got 3 skeins of this. And so if you've been a long-term viewer of Rebecca, you know that she first encountered this yarn at Beautiful Knitters when they gave her the swatch and said, they're like, oh, here's this yarn. Yeah, that's nice yarn. Have you felt the swatch after it's been blocked? And then, you know, a love story was born, and we've all wanted to try it and used it since then. And it was fun because I went and I was like, I want to feel that swatch. So I did. I felt the swatch. I kind of wanted to vlog it or film it or take a photo and send it to Rebecca. I was like, this is the swatch that started it all. But I didn't, because I was with Karen, the owner was with me. So I didn't want to be like creepy, like, can I take it? This is great. It's so soft. Yes, I'm going to get it. I want to try it. But I didn't want to be the creepazoid who was also like, do you mind if I take a picture and send it to my friend? Anyway, so I felt the swatch, guys. It's like cashmere. It's wild. So they had a like cowl knitted in it, and then they had an actual, just a little swatch of it. So I picked up 3 skeins of it, and the plan is to make an Oslo hat. So I will hold this double to get gauge for the Oslo hat by Petite Knit, because I really, well, first of all, I didn't make any hats last year, guys. No hats in 2022, and I think it's because I don't tend to wear hats very often. But I think having a very simple, staple, plain grey hat like the Oslo hat, knit in what will essentially feel like cashmere yarn, would, you know, spark joy for me. So that is the plan with these. Once I get my kind of lunchtime sock knitting out of the way, I'm nearly finished my DRK everyday socks. Once I get those out of the way, I'll cast this on because I feel like it's a nice like mindless knit by the looks of the pattern, I believe. So yeah, so I picked up 3 skeins of that. So that's what I treated me. Oh, and then, you know, Christmas is over, but Karen, she's so sweet. She stuck some gingerbread needle stoppers in my bag for me as a gift, so thank you, Karen. I don't think she has time to watch all the podcasts, but regardless, I would always recommend, when you go to London, stopping Beautiful Knitters. They're a wonderful store, and there's a nice bakery across the street as well. So yeah, so that's all I picked up. So acquisitions wise, just a little bit of Spincycle and the Kinross 4-ply and some little mending bits, because, you know, 2023 might be the year of the mend, who knows. And so yeah, so that's it, guys. I am in a very excited mood for the new year, an excited mood for lots of new makes coming up in the new year. The goal is to get through sweater quantities in my stash, so maybe next episode I'll talk a bit more about the sweater quantities I do have, and I want to get through those. And yeah, the last final thing I do want to recommend is Maressa Makes has recently, well, I would say a new podcaster, but this is her like second go at it. I started watching her literally last night and knit the entire sleeve on my Alpenglow, like going back watching all of her episodes through, and she is hilarious, she is brilliant, she is a very talented knitter, and she spoke about recently about being like with the stash, like only bringing things into your stash that you know you have a project for, and I like super identify with that. I feel like, you know, I do have certain things in my stash that I just got for the sake of it without a project in mind. So I think for 2023, I do want to make sure that whatever, if stuff does come into my stash, I do have a project ready for it to go. And with my sweater quantities that I have in my stash, I kind of want to knit through those and then only add sweater quantities when I know that I've got a project ready to go for them. So that's kind of why I'm doing the metamorphic. That's why I'm doing some other things down the pipeline. So look forward to those. And I also super recommend that podcast. I feel like if you like my humor, you will also enjoy her humor. And my favorite thing she says is today in old people news, because I feel like I'm getting older and older. So yeah, if you don't watch her, go watch her. I think if you like me, you'll like her too. So that's my little podcast recommendation for today. That's it for this week. I will be back fairly soon. There's lots of knitting happening, and I'm super motivated to stay on track with this podcast and grow this wonderful community even more. Let me know what you're working on. As always, I want to know what you're knitting on. Have you finished something recently? Are you slogging away at something? Is the end in sight? Oh, and what are you doing selfishly? You've done all that gift knitting for Christmas. What are you selfishly knitting for yourself? I want to know. Take care of yourselves, guys, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye!